Welcome to the Exec Exchange, 15-minute podcast in which a leader from the water sector shares a story to inspire, inform, and educate other water sector leaders around the world. My name is Piers Clark, and my guest today is Carla Correia, the Chief Executive at Águas de Portugal in Portugal. Carla, brilliant to have you with us. Thank you for taking the time.
Thank you, Piers.
Now, we always start with a little bit of background of our guests. What did you do before you took on the role of Chief Executive at ADP?
I have a degree in legal and economic science, and my career started as a lawyer. But over the time, I moved into the water and environmental sector more than 26 years ago. And since then, I've dedicated my professional life to this area of the water sector. Within the Águas de Portugal group, I began in a legal technical role and later had the privilege to hold several leadership positions. I began as secretary of the board of director and have been appointed as executive board member of Sanest. And later I became vice president and board member of the holding company of the group. I had the responsibility of several areas, including legal, compliance, risk management, human resource, sustainability communication, and corporate strategy. I also gained valuable experience outside the group. I served as Chief of Staff of the Secretary of State of Public Works and Communication, and later as Secretary of State for Environmental. I think that altogether, this combination of legal expertise, corporate governance, and leadership, both in public and private sector, prepare me to take this role that I have today as CEO of Águas de Portugal International.
Excellent. And how long have you been Chief Executive?
I've been here since May 2023.
Okay, so you are through the honeymoon period, but you've not been there very long. Can you give me 3 words that would describe you as a leader of an organization?
I would describe myself determined because I always set a clear vision. I work very hard to achieve results for me and for the organization. I must be resilient because leading complex transformations requires persistence and also the ability to navigate uncertainty without losing focus. But I also like to think that I'm human because I truly believe that leadership depends on empathy. It depends on building strong teams and creating a culture of trust and respect.
That's excellent. We need all leaders to behave like that. Now let's talk about Águas de Portugal. Can you tell me a bit about the organization? Where is it and how many people do you serve?
Águas de Portugal International is Portugal's national water utility group. It has been created in 1993 and is fully owned by the Portuguese state. Our mission is very clear: to ensure safe, reliable, and sustainable water and wastewater services across the country. Today, we serve about 80.9 million people. That's around 85% of the Portuguese population and across 270 municipalities. The group includes 13 operation companies and 2 international companies abroad. Our infrastructures covers more than 22,000 kilometers of water supply networks, 117 water treatment plants and 28 dams, and over 1,000 wastewater treatment facilities.
Brilliant. All right. I asked you to describe yourself in 3 words. Now I'm going to do the same and ask you to describe the organization in 3 words.
If we focus on management and results, we can describe ourselves as efficient in delivering high quality service across the country, resilient in ensuring water security and adapting to future challenge, and people focus because at the end, our mission is to make a difference in people's life. But if we focus on purpose and future, I think we can describe ourselves as sustainable, inclusive, and future oriented because we are sustainable in managing water responsibly, inclusive in serving communities from urban center to rural areas, and future-oriented because we invest in innovation and circular economy solutions.
I'm so glad you said that because we are now moving to the meat of our discussion. I want you to talk about both innovation and the things you've been doing on your energy strategy and the circular economy. I've actually heard you speak before about the 360 strategy that you've developed, in particular, how it varies from traditional innovation strategies that maybe other utilities have adopted. Can you tell me a bit about that? What is this 360 strategy for innovation?
I think it's important to understand how was Portugal 30 years ago to understand our 360 strategy of innovation. 30 years ago, coverage in Portugal was very low. Less than 15% of the population was served by wastewater treatment, and under 50% had access to safe water, and only about 75% were connected to a public water supply system. Today, after 3 decades of investment, we achieved over 95% coverage, water quality above 99%, and 97% compliance with wastewater discharge license. That is where Innovation 360 comes in. It's holistic and it embraces 4 key pillars: efficiency, security, resilience, and autonomy. We started by identifying our main cost drivers: energy, sludge, and people. From there, we launch specific programs to focus on these drivers. So we launch Zero Program, a group-wide commitment to reach for energy neutrality by 2030. We also developed Agua Plus program, focusing water reuse and circular economy. This allows us to develop reuse applications for agriculture and cities. We use real-time monitoring, predictive maintenance, and new digital tools to improve transparency and service. And finally, we create a proactive innovation fund where all companies in the group donate a certain amount and employees can submit their own projects to be funded in this fund. This encourages bold ideas and fast experimentations, enabling our workers to innovate based on the needs they come across in their day works. These needs often lead to creation of new products or methods, which they can submit to the group fund to develop supports.
I love this idea that you've got a group of companies and they all pay a sort of innovation tax into the center that then people can bid for and propose good ideas that then ensure that the innovations addressing the problems that really matter at the coalface of the organization. It's brilliant. Now, one of the first initiatives you mentioned was you were aiming to be energy neutral by 2030. And I suspect that target was set back in 2020. Now we're getting quite close to 2030. How are you getting on with that target? Are you going to meet it?
I think it's important to understand that ADP Group is the largest public electricity consumer in Portugal. We use more than 700 gigawatts hour per year, about 1.4% of the country's total consumption. That's why in 2020 we launched our energy neutrality program with the clear goal of becoming fully energy neutral by 2030. This plan is a mix of renewable energy, 60% solar, 25% wind, 7% hydro, 4% biogas. We are on track and we are going to meet our target to achieve energy autonomy by 2030.
Are there already examples of how you benefited from this program?
Yes, I believe the best example for this is how we handled the international power cut on April 28th of this year. Through our Zero program, we had energy security in our operations of our wastewater treatment plant throughout the crisis.
So this strategy of being carbon neutral, it also gave you this wonderful platform of energy security such that operators in your plant didn't even know there was a power cut. Brilliant. Now, apart from the energy security, are there more benefits that you saw from this program?
Yes, the benefits are huge for us. We have energy independence and avoiding around 805,000 tons of CO2 emissions every year. So it's not only good for the environment, but also essential for the resilience and energy security of the group.
All right, well said. Now, what advice would you give to other utilities who might be looking at what you've done to achieve that and thinking, hey, I'd like to go on that journey? What advice would you give them?
Based on our experience, my advice would be simple: be bold but realistic on this kind of matters. Set ambitious targets, but build a roadmap that reflects actual energy profile. Start with efficiency, reducing loss, improving process, digitalize, and then structure investment in phases. It's impossible to do everything at the same time, so establish clear phases. We should begin with smaller projects to build capacity and test solutions, and then scale up to larger investments. And finally, don't wait because all the technologies are available. The return on investment is proven, and the benefits for the organization and society are clear. Achieving net neutrality takes persistence and governance, but I think that significant progress can be made in 5 or 10 years if a complex group like us, that have municipalities working with us, and sometimes it's difficult to take some decisions and to make some investments. But if a complex group like us can aim for energy neutrality in 2030, I believe that many others can do it too.
That's brilliant. Carla, unfortunately, we're running out of time. So, my final question to you on a personal level, go back 20 years and think about that young lawyer that you were 20 years ago. What advice would you give her now with all the wisdom and all the experience you've gained?
If I could go back 20 years and give an advice to myself, I think I would say spend more time with the people you love because time is precious and it passes very quickly. I also would say be yourself. Don't let others define your path and always hold on to the values you were taught: honesty, respect, resilience, and care for others. I think that these values guided me through challenges and they helped me make the right choice. I think I wouldn't change anything I've done.
You have been listening to the Exec Exchange with me, Piers Clark, and my guest today has been Carla Correia, the Chief Executive of Águas de Portugal. I hope you can join us next time. Thank you.